Hey y'all, let's talk a little bit about information architecture, or IA. This is probably a new term for most of y'all. And really what it boils down to is it's all about setting up the blueprint or the foundation for the content and the navigation of your website. If you think about the analogy of building a house, you wouldn't just start by placing studs in the concrete pad and then framing drywall without actually taking a moment to think about where those rooms are going to be placed. And is it a one story or a two story? And is the garage on the left or the right? And like blueprints or like building a house, websites shouldn't just be rushed into the actual design. And that's where information architecture comes in. It's like a blueprint in that it helps you organize your content and your thoughts about what content should and shouldn't be on certain pages and how the user might navigate to your website. So let's jump through a couple of helpful examples, maybe define it a little bit better, and then I'll briefly introduce the project, the assignment for this evening. So let's start off by defining it. Information architecture serves as a blueprint, like I said, for your website. Unfortunately, though, I think this step is often overlooked in the UI UX process in the industry. For many years, I overlooked it, and now it's become an essential piece of what I do from a UI UX interaction design process. But like I said, like building a house, spending just a few more hours, a little extra time thinking about the information and how it will appear on your site will just speed up the wireframing process. It will speed up you building your actual site, and in the long run, it will speed up development itself. So let's define it. And this definition actually comes from usability.gov. Did you know there was a usability.gov? It's a great site with a lot of great information about usability and accessibility, do's and don'ts and best practices around user experience design and usability in general. So they define information architecture as this. It focuses on organizing, structuring, and labeling content in an effective and sustainable way. The goal is to help users find information and complete tasks. To do this, you need the understanding of how these pieces fit together to create the larger picture, how all items relate to each other within the system or within the website itself. And if you think about this, these three circles here, this Venn diagram on the right-hand side, and my face is not part of that Venn diagram, but you have the users in one circle, you have the content in another, and you have the context in the final. And IA, or information architecture, sits at the center of that, trying to balance what the user needs, what content is on the site, and in what context is the user going to view that content. Let's maybe clarify that a little bit more and use a real world analogy. So this comes from a great article that's going to be linked in next Thursday's module called Sitemaps and Information Architecture on the XD Ideas blog. And their analogy is a real world one about using maps. And so imagine you're visiting a new city. Perhaps it's Nashville or Seattle in this picture. And you know the place you want to go and that you want to visit in downtown or in the area, but you don't know exactly how to get there. And it's great when cities actually do a lot of this work for you as it relates to the task of getting there. It maybe has districts like Fisherman's Wharf or Russian Hill or the North Beach. And it might also have signs to help you navigate from block to block or from north to south or from one district to another, or the city has good navigation. It's even better when you maybe have a physical map in front of you or a digital map on your phone that represents that city, just like a normal map would. And so like this map, designers should create a visual representation of the content or how a user might navigate their site from district to district, from page to page, from category to category. And that's going to help create just an easy way of accessing and navigating your site through a well-defined information architecture map. We've all probably visited sites that just felt really confusing and we struggled to navigate around. Some of those might have been the site you originally chose for your redesign. But have you ever wondered how Amazon maybe makes all that content feel so easy to navigate? It's because they invest a lot of time in this exercise right here, information architecture. And so there are a few different levels I thought I'd highlight of fidelity or completeness or refining of IA or information architecture mapping. The first one is low fidelity, and that's what we're going to do tonight. That's part of this practice, and usually you don't spend a ton of time with it. The example that I have included in this module of the Pennsylvanian maybe took me about 15 to 20 minutes just looking at the site, sketching it out real quick, and then doing another one so that I can clean it up and get my boxes all organized and make sure I fit it all on the page. And so this low fidelity sketch like we're doing tonight shouldn't take very long. You need to look at the site, assess what is actually on the page, what content's there, how many links are in the navigation and the footer, and just map it out on paper. And usually this low fidelity information architecture map is used to get a rough understanding of the site and of the content that's available on each page. And so you can see in this Trade It example that there's an onboarding screen where you're going to select your gender, maybe you have your age, your date of birth, other options there. Within the site, within the app, there's going to be a shopping cart, some new listings, the ability to browse with categories and subcategories, and a profile where you can see stats and settings. And so you're just getting an understanding of the pages that are involved before you jump into wireframing those pages out. And so you can see maybe how this would be helpful to have a quick understanding because now you know what pages you need to include. And unlike the first assignment where we focused on 3 pages, now you're going to actually build out your own apartment complex website. And so you need to make those decisions as to what pages or what content should appear on your site itself. Let's go into the next one. So mid fidelity. This is actually the example within the module that we're going to do on next Thursday's assignment. I'm going to share some tips and tricks on how to create this in XD. There's a great plugin called FlowKit that I'll share with y'all in next Thursday's module. But if you're in XD and you want to experiment, FlowKit is great for that assignment, not going to be used for this one. This one's all about sketching. But mid-fidelity is where you get a little bit more refined. You're building out the site navigation and trying to lay out, understand the content that will be represented on each page. And so in this example of information architecture, you can see that the designer has chosen to have 3 onboarding screens before you hit a welcome screen where you're either going to do your email or your registration. And either way, you'll end up at the home page where you can either take a photo, post a recent photo, or most recent, or archive any of your last photos you can select from. And so this kind of seems like a photo sharing type of app or product here. And so again, this is just helping to get an understanding of how the user is going to click through and understand and navigate your site. Now, next Thursday, your site map's not going to be this complex, but as far as the fidelity goes or how it looks with these boxes, it's digital, it's not a sketch. That's what I mean when we say we're going to go this route in the next iteration of the IA map that you create. All right, and finally, probably my favorite and consistently blows my mind when somebody does this quite well is the high fidelity IA map. And this is usually used for understanding the complexity of each page within a given product. And it's usually going to include maybe miniature page layouts, as you see here in this GIF. And it's usually extremely detailed. And so as this zooms out, you can see how this all breaks down. And it's a beauty once it's done to be able to see this. And why it's helpful, again, is because if you can understand the content, the layout, the structure of your site contextually, and the content that's going to be on there, and you balance that with user needs, it's going to just create a seamless and easy to use experience. And so some of the most complex apps or websites that you use that have just a lot of detail, information, and content probably have spent a lot of time thinking about their information architecture and how their site, their application, their pages are going to lay out within their product. All right. So I've included a lot of other great content as it relates to a beginner's guide to information architecture, how to kind of reverse engineer information architecture where you're looking at an existing site and just kind of mapping it out. That should serve to help you understand how you might create your sketches for your sketch for this assignment. And there's also some helpful links and some examples of hand-drawn, sketched out information architecture maps. And so for this assignment, you're going to sketch out YSU's University Edge apartment complex. And so, as you know, for this assignment, you're not allowed to choose something that's local. And this is why I want you to take a stab at creating the IA for this local apartment complex website. And so in this assignment, just take a few minutes practicing the concept of IA mapping. The goal for this assignment is to begin seeing and understanding the information that is presented on a site and its hierarchy on the page. And so what content is on the page? How does it break down from top to bottom? This will help to lead into the assignment next week that's due next Thursday evening at 11:59 p.m. And because we're missing Tuesday's class, again, just because of the holiday schedule from YSU, we're missing the ability to kind of introduce information architecture next week. I wanted to provide a quick assignment so you had just a rough understanding of IA heading into next week. I'm going to make that next Thursday module available even earlier than I normally would, just to make sure that you can have that available to jump in there quickly as the week starts. That way you're up to speed and you're not waiting until next Thursday night to start your IA map for your own apartment complex website. But back to this assignment. And so the first thing you're going to do for tonight's assignment is go to universityedgeysu.com. Take a few minutes to review the main navigation, the content that's on each page. Click through it. Make sure you cover all the pages, the footer, and any kind of perimeter content or links that are available. And then based on what you've learned in the videos and in the examples that are provided in this module, quickly sketch out the information architecture for each page of the University Edge website. Quickly sketch out the navigation and the content that you see on each page. And so I think you have a lot of great examples within this module of just how to do that. So once you're done with that, again, if you're like me, it maybe takes you a few sketches just real quickly to make sure you're actually using the space on your page properly and you're not barely fitting in the last nav or the last link on the far right side of your sketched page. And so you might sketch it a few times, but submit your best effort by taking a photo of your sketched IA map. Ensure that it's good quality. Make sure we can see it and there's no blurriness or fuzziness on it. And in your discussion group with a 200 to 300 word explanation explaining your thoughts on information architecture mapping. So hopefully this was helpful to serve as an overview. Again, we kind of are splitting things out a little bit just based off the scheduling for this week and next, but I wanted to give you a quick assignment that's due tonight, just to get you thinking about the idea of information architecture mapping. So hopefully this was helpful. Good luck on this assignment. Also make sure you watch the second module for tonight, for Thursday. That module was about mood boards, which is the milestone number 1 for this project. And so you all are pros at mood boards now after project number 1. And those mood boards are due this Sunday evening at 11:59 p.m. And again, no class this coming up Tuesday. And I'll see you all again on Thursday next week. So good luck. I can't wait to see what y'all do for your first stab at information architecture mapping, and looking forward to it. All right, see y'all.